Stephen in wonderful Wiltshire in England. That's the picture behind me of the Caithnavon Canal. And today we're looking at something a little bit different. We're looking at, well, let's put the card on the screen and you can actually see it. Creator protection. Should you actually opt for an LLC, a limited liability company, in order to protect your business and your personal assets? So that's the background to today. And at the outset, I want to say this is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to have an introduction. What is an LLC? We're going to talk about limited liability, enhanced credibility. But what I want to bring to you attention is at the bottom. The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. And you should, before proceeding, take the advice of tax and legal professionals. So that's the backdrop to today. Okay, now when you first start off in business, you're on your own. Basically, you are a sole proprietor of your business. You're the one running it, you're the one responsible for it, and you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for when you make a profit, paying your taxes, and if you have a liability problem, you're responsible for settling that liability. Now, you may well have insurance to cover it. I hope that you do. You should be, if you're in business, you should be insured for being litigated against by your customers. So what are the benefits of actually going from being a sole proprietor to a limited liability company? Why should you do it? First of all, in terms of cost, you can do it for free, you can do it for yourself, or you can get the help of a tax professional, and that will cost you anything up to $1,000. But this is what you're going to get in return, and this is what you're looking for, the protection, because we're talking today about creator protection and forming an LLC. And I suppose we better start with, what is an LLC? Basically, limited liability company is a separate entity. Okay, so I'm Stephen J. Healy. If I started a company, a limited liability company called Live Video Incorporated, then that would be separate from me, with two distinct operations with different liabilities. A limited liability company means that I am not liable. I am not personally liable unless something happens. But day-to-day running of a business, then I would not be liable for all the company's debts. And that's why we do it. That's one of the reasons for actually switching, is that you're no longer personally liable for the debts of your business, providing you've always acted legally. There's always provisos in these things. You've always acted legally. If you act legally and you've got a limited liability corporation company, then you're safe from being sued personally. And that's first thing you're trying to do is to save your personal assets. If you own your own house and the mortgage has been paid off, do you want to risk that house in a business? Because if you're trading as a personal, in a personal situation, people can sue you. And if they sue you, then your personal assets come into being. With a limited liability company, they don't. So the first thing that an LLC can do is to protect you and your house. So nobody can sue you because they'll be suing the company, Live Video Inc. The second thing is that in addition to your house, there's the car. In fact, everything you own, when you're in business for yourself, everything you own, you could lose. You could totally lose. And an LLC is a stepping stone to becoming a corporation. So let's take a look at the various options. And I'm going to take myself for full screen. So limited liability. Oh, the other major benefit is credibility. If I am trading a Stephen Healy live video, then it's different trading as live video. Yeah, I don't have to have my name. I can choose the brand. Brand recognition. I can promote, rather than promoting myself, I can promote a brand, and you can do the same. Rather than promoting yourself, you can promote a brand. You can choose the brand name. As a sole proprietor, your name has got to be somewhere in the title. If you're a limited liability company, it doesn't. And the other thing is that a limited liability company can just be you, or it can be you with other people. Yeah, it's not a partnership, but you are working together. And I'm going to explain more about that as we go along. So you can have other people involved. So the company name stays, and you're involved at the beginning, then you bring somebody else in and somebody else in. In fact, there's no limit to the number of people who can be involved in an LLC. Yeah, and an LLC has its own rules. Now, let's just go over to my sheet over here and take a look at various items. But before we do that, there is no need to create an LLC if you do not have any assets. If you don't own any property, be it a house or a car, if you don't have any chattels, if you don't have anything that you own, in other words, if people sued you, you wouldn't lose anything, then you don't need an LLC. So bear that in mind. You do not need an LLC if you have no assets, because what you're doing with an LLC is to protect those assets from litigation. If there aren't any assets, nobody can litigate against you and win. Yeah, if you're worth nothing, people won't sue you. So let's come over to here. And I'm just going to switch this card in. Okay, so what is an LLC? It's a limited liability company, and it's one or more people working together in a business. And you basically, if I brought a part, when you're a sole proprietor, 100% of the business is yours. When you go to an LLC, you could give 3 friends 25% each. So 4 of you have 25. But none of you are actually liable for what the company does, providing that you do it legally. Right, so limited liability, if something goes wrong. I mean, we don't start a business with the idea of it going wrong. But if you have an LLC, you have limited liability. So in other words, people can actually sue the company, but you are not personally responsible. It's the not being personally responsible. That's the thing. So members, you can invite people in to join you. They will have limited liability. And there are 2 things you can decide. You can decide who owns the company and who profits from the company. We'll decide that later. As far as the tax authorities are concerned, everybody involved in the LLC pays tax on the profits that they take from the company. And all the profit is deemed to have been distributed. So if you can have a quarter share of the company, but only get 10% of the profits. 2 different things. The ownership of the company and the profits from the company, you can decide. Now, this is the major reason for having a limited company, is credibility. If you are trading as Stephen Healy or John Smith, let's use John Smith. If you're trading as John Smith, then people know that it's just a 1-person operation. Yeah, if you're trading as JS Video, people can see that as a company. It's perception. People perceive JS Video as a company in its own right. They don't get to know who's involved in JS Video. Yeah, you don't have to declare who the owners of the business are. You just use the business name of JS Video. So you can have as many people behind JS Video as you wish. You can bring them in by invitation. And the other thing is that as a company, JS Video continues. If anything happens to you, somebody can step in and the company will continue. So you've got continuity. And that's important, because it means that you can set a business up and you stop on your own account, or your people who are in it with you can actually stop. So limited liability, group of people getting together. There is no limited liability, protects you as soon as you actually set it up. Now, setting it up is different in every state. Now, for that reason, I put on the bottom of this card that the information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Before proceeding, take the advice of tax and legal professionals, because each state has its own regulations with regard to LLCs, and you actually incorporate the business JS video in a state. Normally, you would actually use your own home state. There's one where you're based, and you'd go and see a solicitor or a tax professional, and they would help you set it up. Because once you get into official forms, you don't want to get it wrong. You pay so that somebody else who is insured actually gets it right for you. So there are people who will help you create an LLC and get limited liability. I was watching videos this morning by Life accountants, LYFE accountants, and they do provide a full service in terms of registering throughout the 52 states, different in every state. So therefore, get professional advice. That's the best advice I can give you, is if you're thinking of forming an LLC, do get professional advice. But the brand recognition is total. You've got the continuity and the brand recognition. So JS Video could go on long after JS has been part of it. Yeah, because other people can come in and take over their shares. Membership can be sold. The composition of people there can be sold, can be changed. Yeah, that's important. If it's just John Smith video, as soon as John Smith stops broadcasting, then the business disappears. With an LLC, the business continues. Now, in terms of managing an LLC, if you set an LLC up, then you're going to be its first manager. Then you bring in other members, people that you know, like and trust, and they can help you to manage the business. But in managing the business, you're not restricted to members. You can bring in a professional management team. You don't need to, but you can down the road. The business can grow, and you can bring in people to manage it. The first one you want is an accountant to take care of the books. Okay, if you're going to be a company, then you'll have greater reason, because you've got to make financial returns to the state, and you want help in doing that. So you will bring a bookkeeper in, accountant, to actually help you with the business. So you can either manage it on your own, or you can actually bring people to help you, totally separate from the ownership. So you can bring a team in, you could bring an office manager in, you could bring in specialists in certain areas of live video. You can bring in anybody to help you. They can be paid in the normal way. You can have staff in an LLC. Now, I want to say at this point, if there's anything that you want to check, then you can ask me. But I do say, before proceeding with becoming an LLC in your own home state, do take advice. Okay, now taxation. And it says there, pass-through taxation. Okay, if you are the only person in the LLC, then basically the profits are taken as being yours. Yeah. So in terms of declaring your income, the profits from the LLC are your income, and you are liable for the tax. The LLC is not liable for tax. The members of the LLC are liable for the tax on profits. Now, just a word here. If you have a company and you're taking $1,000 a month out, of the income. You're not going to be taxed on the $12,000. You're actually taxed on the profit that the company makes. Now, the company could well make 50,000. You would get taxed on 50,000, but you've only personally had 12,000. So you've got to be aware of that. You would be liable for tax on 50,000 if it was just you. If there are four of you and you were splitting profits equally, then it would each be liable for 12,500, not the 10,000 you took out of the business. There is a difference between what you take out of the business and what the business earns. The business earnings are the taxable amount, and you'll be liable, or the company would be, you'd be personally liable to actually pay the taxes. So you're not removing the requirement to pay taxes on your business's profits. Having SGA video means that you're responsible with your team members for paying tax on the profits in a timely fashion. Right, so profit defines the tax that's paid. Who pays that tax depends how many people are involved. Now, just a note here, there is very little point in being an LLC if it's just you. There is little point in being an LLC if you've no assets, because you're not protecting yourself any more than you would if you were a sole trader. Yeah? So bear that in mind. I'm just going to go through a list here. Occasionally during this broadcast, you will see me flip from one place to another just to check. I've made a set of notes. So if you've no assets, and the other thing is, if in your business, I'm just going to come back, in your business, you may have no legal risks. You may have no liabilities, no potential liabilities. If you don't have assets and you have no potential liabilities, you don't need an LLC. LLC is brilliant from brand recognition, for getting people to work together, for sharing the profits. But it's not the answer if in your current business, which is a sole proprietorship, you don't want to switch to an LLC because you've no assets and no liabilities in the business. There is no tangible benefit, and you'd actually be paying, because you pay a cost to actually set the LLC up, and then there's an annual fee, and the cost and the annual fee vary from state to state. Okay, now it's not going to break the bank, but it is there. It's an additional cost. Right, so pass-through taxation, you and your fellow members are responsible for taxation, and the taxation is based on the profits of the enterprise. So bear that in mind. It's the same as if you were trading on your own, you're responsible for the profits, but with an LLC, you can split that over the members. Pass-through taxation. Now, it is easy to actually form and maintain a limited liability company, get tax advice, get legal advice, and get people to check everything when you register. Make sure your registration is honest and straightforward, because you're going to sign, and you need help to do that, I would suggest. And then you've got an annual fee which you'll pay, and you don't have to give. I'm going to double check this, but I don't think you have to give accounts to the state. You do to the tax authorities, but not to the state. Okay, now, one of the benefits is ownership flexibility. And I'm just going to read from my script here. Just a minute. Let's go up here, and I'm going to put my glasses on because I want to get this right. So LLCs allow for a flexible ownership structure. Members can be individuals, other businesses, or even foreign entities. Additionally, there is no restriction on the number of members an LLC can have, providing versatility in ownership arrangements. So as a sole proprietor, it's just you, okay? As an LLC, yeah, you can have members can be individuals, okay, people you invite into the business, or they can even be LLCs in their own right. An LLC can be a member of an LLC, yeah, or a company. Now, that's the cases. We said you've got limited liability. If you go as a sole trader to a bank to seek a loan, then you will have to sign a guarantee. If you have a company, JS Video, and you go to a bank for a loan, then the situation is that the loan is not to you, but to the company. The payments have got to be made by the company. The repayments of the loan have got to be made by the company, not by you. The bank will lend money to the company based on its credit rating. Yeah, a bank may lend you money. If it does, then the liability to repay it lies with the company and not with you. However, there are situations where the bank will say, okay, we will loan the money to your LLC, and your LLC can use it to actually run the business. But we want a personal guarantee from you that if anything happens to the LLC, you will pay it. You will repay it personally. So you may have transformed it into an LLC, but in order to get funds from a bank, you may have to personally guarantee it. Now, if you personally guarantee a bank loan, then that is a personal guarantee, and the limited liability, as far as the bank loan is concerned, doesn't exist. Yeah, you are personally liable. So be aware of that. Any personal guarantee you give in relation to the debts of an LLC is a personal guarantee. Yeah. So LLC can borrow in its own right. If the bank are happy to lend to a successful LLC, they won't ask for guarantees. It's very much on the individual situation. There's no way to forecast whether a bank will lend an LLC money. The other way of actually getting money, apart from a bank, is to get investors. And it has to be said that getting investment from a corporate into an LLC is not the easiest thing to do. It is possible, but basically, corporations are more likely to invest in an S Corp than they are in an LLC. So finding potential investors is going to be difficult, yeah, unless they come in as members. If you're looking at your own friend circle or family circle and people are coming in as members and they're contributing to the funds, that's one thing. But getting an outsider to come in and invest in an LLC, no. It's just like the tax authorities say, you're an LLC. No, you're not. You are an LLC, but you're personally responsible for the tax on profits. So you can see that it's not becoming a limited liability is not watertight. What it is protecting is it's protecting your assets. Providing you don't sign them away through another document, an LLC will protect your house and your car and any other assets you have. Yeah, and there's a small annual cost. Okay, let's go back to where we're looking. So ease of formation, you register once and then you maintain that registration on an annual basis, pay the fee. And I would suggest that in creating it, you actually use the facilities afforded by tax and legal professionals in setting it up. It's not difficult to do, but you do have to go through a few hurdles to actually get set up. Okay, I'm going to run through this list again in a moment, but the next item down is ownership flexibility. Now, we just mentioned a moment ago, if you're a sole proprietor, which most of us are, and you want limited liability, you can transform yourself into an LLC and you could carry on just as you. But one of the benefits of an LLC is having an unlimited number of members. So you can bring in friends and family and as members into the LLC. They can have a part in the day-to-day management and they can participate in the profits. That's according to the agreement that you draw up at the beginning. Now you can amend that agreement. It's not fixed. But if you have 4 partners all earning 25%, that is an agreement. In order to change that agreement, every member, got to get the terms right, every member would have to agree. If there's going to be any changes in an LLC which has more than one member, then all the members must agree in order for it to go ahead. Because what you don't want to do is create a situation where 3 of the 4 members gang up on the 4th. So be aware that everybody you give rights to can exercise those rights. Okay, but you can have as many members as you wish. Okay, now profit allocation flexibility. When you set up an LLC, if it's yourself alone, then you will get 100% of the profits and you're liable for 100% of the profits. You can draw it up that if 4 people join in, then the profits are divided between 4 people and everybody's responsible for their own tax. So the year-end accounts come out, you've made $100,000 profit, everybody is entitled to $25,000 of that. Whether they draw out the $25,000 or not, they have to pay tax on it. They are liable for tax, depending on their own personal circumstances. But in ordinary situation, they would be liable for the tax. If you've got 100 members, not everybody needs to share the profits. When you draw up the contracts, decide who gets a percentage of the profits. The team that you've got the team that actually owns the company there, and we all own 25%. But one of the 4 isn't working. So over here, I'll go here, the profits go to 3 of the 4. So 4 people are managing it, but 3 people share the profits. You can set it up that way. It's so flexible. You can set up the ownership and the profit participation as 2 separate things. Okay, and as I say, you can vary. You're not writing anything in stone. You can vary the contract at any point. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go through from the beginning again. And if you're watching me live on YouTube, I want to say thank you. It is Wednesday, the 28th of February, and it is roughly 10:28. Okay. Right. So we're talking about LLC content creators. Let's bring the card in first. Creator protection. As a live broadcaster, can you protect yourself? Is the solution to use a limited liability company. And setting it up, basically, if you want to set up an LLC, then what you do is basically, and okay, I'm just trying to get hold of a set of notes. Whether I can get them or not, I don't know. Right, you choose a name, you obtain your EIN and check the tax requirements, you prepare an LLC operating agreement, you open a bank account, and you fill in the required paperwork. Now let's see if I can. Right, I'm going to put those are the requirements. Let me just read them again. Setting it up. Choose a name. Now the brand name can be anything you like. JS Video. If you're a sole proprietor, you have to use your own name in the title so that people know. With an LLC, you get a brand title, a name, and nobody knows who owns the brand. The members own the brand, but nobody needs to know the names of the members. You're not required to declare them other than to the government. You then sort out the tax and get your IN agreement, and then you prepare an LLC operating agreement. Now, this is the document that's actually going to govern how your LLC works. Every LLC is different. Every LLC is different, and it's how you set it up that matters. Yeah, you have to decide on the rules for who can join, how can a member leave, how can a new member join, are there any limits on what the company can borrow imposed by the members? Are there any limits in the value of the contracts the company can enter into? That can go into the agreement as well. In other words, at the beginning of setting up an LLC, you get together all the rules, a structure for everybody to understand, so that everybody knows what they're buying into. The company may have no liability, it's a limited liability company, but you have to spell out to everybody who's involved whether they have any liabilities at all, right at the beginning. The next thing, every business needs a bank account. Every business does not need to borrow. Okay. Now, if you put your own money into the LLC, into the bank account, then that's a contribution that you've made, and it'll be shown to your credit in the accounts. Banks do fund LLCs and will give working capital, but it's a negotiation at the beginning, and over the years the situation may change, your profitability goes up, the bank get happier with the way you are. Yeah, it's a lot easier. I'm just speaking, well, if you've got an existing business, the existing business as a sole proprietor has been running a number of years, and you've got accounts for those years. When you go to the bank as the LLC for a loan, they already know you. Yeah, you can trade as a sole proprietor with a bank, they get to know you, and when you switch to an LLC, they say, it's you, we know your track record, we know you've repaid loans in the past. All that will be taken into account when the new account is opened with the bank. With the bank, you can deposit money, you can pay checks out, you can run the business with a business bank account. So rather than running the business out of your own personal bank account, you're actually running it out of the company's bank account. Right, now the required paperwork. Basically, each state is different, and the paperwork needs to be filled in before the LLC exists. An LLC doesn't exist just because you say, I am now JS Video. An LLC exists because there's a formal application been made to the state, and the state have approved it. Okay, now it's not complex, but it is there. And finally, when you've got your LLC, then you can start the branding, and you can set up your website with the JS Video brand name. You can set up your Facebook accounts, your Twitter accounts, all in the LLC's name, and you can start trading as. Yeah, well, you don't need to say Stephen Healy trading as, you just say JS Video, and that's all anybody needs to know. They don't need to know who you are. Yeah, that's the customers and suppliers recognize JS Video as being the entity which is actually trading. And once you've got all that up, then you can carry on business. Now let's go through again. So limited liability, companies responsible for the debts. You are not responsible for the debts unless you personally sign a bank guarantee. Now, if you have no assets, then you don't need an LLC, because you're not going to get sued. Well, if you do get sued, you can't pay anything. Okay. So single person LLC, it's a difficult choice between being a sole proprietor and an LLC. Again, I would get advice. If it's more than one person, then an LLC is a way to get people together as members of the LLC, as a controlling committee, as the committee that profits. If as an individual you have no legal risks in running your business, then you don't need protection. Yeah? If you have no legal risks, you don't need protection. And if you, running your business, you have no liabilities, then you don't need protection. Yeah. But if you own your own house, if you own your own car, there are assets which are personal to you that you don't want to lose if anything happens to the business. Nobody starts a business with the idea that it's going to fail. But if it does, with a limited liability company, you will be protected. Enhanced credibility. You've got, when you're a sole trader, you build up credibility and it's on a personal situation. Building credibility as a brand is sometimes easier because corporates are more likely to deal with JS Video than they are with Stephen Healy. It's just basically, it's the way things work. People are happier dealing with a corporate LLC than they are with individuals, because you seem to have a greater business stands on its own 2 feet. So it gives you enhanced credibility, not only with your customers, but with your suppliers as well, and with your members. Flexibility in management. When you're setting it up, you can decide how it's going to be managed. It could be managed by yourself and other members, or you could bring in a management team. You have the flexibility to actually decide how you're actually going to manage it. And just want to go back and just get that here. And I'm just going to read that out. LLCs offer flexibility in terms of management structure. Members can choose to manage the company themselves or appoint managers to handle day-to-day operations. And that means that you can decide exactly how the LLC is going to be run. Pass-through taxation. This is important. The profit participating members of an LLC are liable for taxation. The LLC doesn't pay tax. As far as the revenue is concerned, it's a pass-through situation. Yeah? And the tax on the profits has to be paid by the members in accordance with the agreement. Yeah? So we said 4 people may be members, but only 3 take profits. Yeah, and it's the 3 that are responsible, not the 4. The 4th guy or gal doesn't have to pay on the profits. And just a note, in my years as an accountant, basically, I'm based in the UK, so that's why, as a UK accountant, in my years in accountancy, the number of times where trying to get to understand that it's not what you take out of the business that you're taxed on, it's the profits. If the business makes $50,000 and you only take $1,000 a month out, you're liable for tax not on the $12,000 you took, but on the $50,000 the LLC made. Remember that. Okay, because if you were a sole proprietor, the same situation would apply. So pass-through taxation, the taxation rests with the members. The revenue are not really concerned with the LLC. It is easy to set up. Again, though, get advice on doing it, because you need to set it up correctly. You need to get your operational agreements. You need to work out who's responsible for what. And you need a whole host of things before you actually get going, which we ran through earlier. Ease of formation and maintenance. It is easy to do. You can transfer. There are benefits. If you've got assets that you want to protect, personal assets, be it a house, be it a car, be it a boat, be it a yacht, anything that you own, once you've set up the LLC, then you're not going to lose those if the business fails, unless you're given personal guarantees. Right? So this is not a cure-all. And I'm not going to go down the route. I've sort of tried to keep a balanced approach to this, but LLCs are an alternative for credibility and for limited liability. The ownership is flexible. Members, you can have as many members as you want. You can bring people in. You make the agreement, and then you can add additional people according to the agreement, and people can leave according to the agreement. And you can decide on the profit allocation, and if everybody agrees, you can change the profit allocation anytime. Okay, so that has been hopefully informative about creator protection and creating an LLC. We have been through the topics that are on my agenda, and just to final thing, this information is provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes. For proceeding, take the advice of tax and legal professionals. I can't emphasize that enough. This is just to give you an insight as to what you can do. You can protect yourself. You can protect your personal assets. You can work with other people. This makes it a lot easier. From going sole proprietorship to LLC is a major step because it's not just you. You can bring other people in to work with you. You're all responsible for the profits and according to the agreement you set up. And you can, at any stage, you can actually turn the LLC into a full-blown S Corp. Yeah? Any point, providing your creditors agree, you can transform it. And the other thing about all this, when you're branding, you brand as JS Videos. You don't have to declare who is involved. Whether it's one person or 50 people, you don't have to declare who's involved. Everybody knows it's JS Video. They know that you're involved. You can't hide that bit. But the other 49 people, they don't need to say who they are other than to the authorities. So it is basically a way to protect yourself. If you have assets, you can protect those assets. If you have liabilities, then they can be taken over. I'm not sure, just talk to your tax professionals about this, but LLCs allow you to expand the business. This is the thing. Just a final note. If you're in business on your own, and I traded Stephen Healy video for argument's sake, then when I stop broadcasting, the business stops. If I've been trading at JS Videos and I stopped, the business continues and can have new members. Yeah. So for continuity, an LLC is the way to go. So think ahead, build a business brand, not a personal sole proprietorship. Build an LLC and build your future. Okay, right, finally, and I'm just going to hide that card. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to go here and here. Now, the system I've been using today is OneStream. And I've been using it every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. I broadcast using OneStream.Live on the OneStream.Live YouTube channel. And I have created a step-by-step guide to actually using the software. Every single process within my studio is covered. The ability to go live, as I am from the studio, the ability to play pre-recorded video, the ability to bring in OBS, vMix, XSplit Broadcaster, all of those are covered in the Udemy course. And we're proud to have the course on Udemy. I'm grateful for the help of everybody. So it's OneStream.Live for live content creators. The course is on Udemy. You can search for OneStream.Live. You can search for me. You'll find the course on Udemy. And in March, I will be starting live broadcasts for people who are actually on the course. So, you have been watching Stephen live from Wiltshire in England, broadcasting on the OneStream.Live YouTube channel. It's been my pleasure to be with you today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm live at 10 a.m. Eastern every Wednesday on the OneStream.Live YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about LLCs, let me know.